right now I want to go to the editor-in-chief of Breitbart.com, Alex Marlow. Alex, how are you, brother?
Good, Mike. Good morning.
Man, where do you even start? Where were you on Saturday night?
Well, for me, it was during the day. I was with family. We were about to go get some Mexican food, and I had all my kids in the car. I think Master Marlow was not behaving great. I think it was sort of a tense day. I got to say, I kind of had a premonition. We on Saturdays, as you can imagine, for a lot of my career, Breitbart, which is, I think, 16 years I've been here, there's been a lot of weekend days where I've gone with the family and had to bring the laptop with me, and now I don't always have to do that. But I had a feeling on this Saturday that I need to have the laptop on me. I don't know why that was, but it will haunt me forever. And the machine at Breitbart.com worked pretty well. Within moments of the shooting happened, I'd been alerted by our staff that something was going on, and there were some shootings that happened. And then moments later, I had video, and it was clear that Trump was grabbing his side of his head. So it looked like it was not going to be a fatal wound, but who knew what was going to go on next? And that was the start of a very wild 24-hour period.
And which is the beginning, the beginning of what's next here. So many different angles. So let's just do the Secret Service part first. That's where we're coming out of. We had Gilliam on earlier, and I was talking to a couple of Secret Service friends of mine about just the abject failures from start to finish of the whole operation, from not securing that roof in the first place all the way to not whisking him off the stage in an appropriate manner. What are we to do with that?
Yeah, I'm really disturbed by it because I was thinking about how there's a lot of positive things to take away from the day. Of course, the miracle that Trump lived, which is kind of shocking if you really think about it, but it is miraculous that he's still here in a lot of ways. And the fact that I do feel like this is really going to finally tone down, I think, some of the rhetoric. Not everyone in the media is going to get the picture, but they're going to stop, I think, some of the lying and smearing. I think it's just sort of absurd at this point. It was always not good and dumb, but now it's just getting ridiculous. So I think that could be a positive from it, and I do think that a lot of people are going to wake up to the lies of the left and start giving the moderate crowd, I think, a legitimate shot. So there's all these positive things you could say, but the thing that hovers over the day that makes it all deeply, deeply disturbing and negative, unequivocally, is the failing of our Secret Service, who we had trusted. And you even saw, I was going to say, the social media whores out there, even on people who I would agree with on most stuff, out there, saying thank you to the Secret Service within minutes. Like, well, what are you talking about? This is a colossal 360 historic failure. And it wasn't merely that this guy got to the roof. It wasn't merely that he got shots off. It wasn't merely that clearly you could hear people in the crowd yelling, hey, this guy's got a gun out there. What's going on? And he still got a few shots off. Then it was that Trump somehow was able to pop his head back up again. And I'm grateful for the iconic imagery of him fist pumping and yelling, fight, 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 all that stuff. I mean, it's amazing, and it'll be in history books. I mean, people are already joking it should be on money. Like, it should be we might have to invent a new $1 billion bill or something for him, but I mean, it should be on. It's that cool. It should never have happened. It is, and who are these people? And they're not the type of people who you feel like are just fresh from clearing out some mud huts into Crete. I mean, these are people who seem to be woke DEI hires, because that's who's in charge of the Secret Service, is a woman who was a corporate stooge for Pepsi. And if we lose that branch of U.S. law enforcement and we can't trust it, then how can we trust that we're going to be able to have a convention this week? How can we trust that crazy people, and you saw all the chatter online, don't want to finish the job? How can you trust if you've got a family member or a friend or someone who just you follow online you care about a lot, who wants to go into public office? How can you trust that they're safe? You can't now. And that is fundamentally different than it was going into the weekend. We know we can't trust this formerly trustworthy group of people. This is the proverbial you had one job scenario, and it was not done. And then still idiots online were like, oh, yeah, great, they did a great job. I cannot believe it. I cannot abide by that.
No. I hear a lot of people talk about copycat, in the wake of things like this. And I don't know how much I believe that or not. But in this case, yeah, because if you are somewhat trained and prepared, you're like, oh, wow, there's way more of an opening than I ever thought that there was. Like, who would have ever thought that a roof would ever not be
Yeah, exactly right.
Right. These terrorists are like, oh, this is a way softer target than I ever thought. And we'll say for another day, but I did a quick little riff a little bit ago, and I want to do more on just like general ineptness of people in our country. Like almost no one is good at what they do. Everyone's like faking it and trying the best they can. But we had a little bit of hope that there was some excellence in different branches of law enforcement. But from Uvalde to yesterday or 2 days ago, I think people are even questioning all that. Can you speak to the fight moment when Trump gets up? Let's put the Secret Service failures aside, because they should have picked him up and thrown him in the Tahoe. But that aside, like, what is those few seconds of life? Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. He's so quick. I mean, the fact that his instinct was to do that, the fact that he felt like he knew what was happening, and he thought it was a moment to show bravery and to show people that he was not afraid when, he should have been afraid. I mean, I certainly would have been afraid. It was, it's hard to take in what a badass he is. And I just think that a lot of people underestimate that is what we want in our leaders, is what we want in politicians. We don't want them to be normal people. We want them to be have rare, brave characteristics and courageous characteristics. And what could be a better test than that? Something that you could never plan for. I'm sure he thought this through, but like you, who would have thought that the Secret Service would have allowed for someone to get up on a roof and get shots off before he got put down? I mean, it never would have crossed anyone's mind that was possible until recently. And by recently, I mean last 48 hours. So, yeah, it just shows you one of his unique gifts. My friend Dennis Prager says that bravery is the rarest of good traits, and I think I think we're all reminded of that this weekend, that it's just to have that. How many of our instincts would have been to, put our hands up and just yell, fight, fight, fight? A lot of our instincts would have been to stay on the ground, hopefully not die. And that wasn't Trump's. Now, it was completely unsafe, but that really wasn't his job to worry about. That was Secret Service's job, and they weren't really doing a great job.
That's right. John Nolte has been all over this angle here, but I want to get your thought on Biden and just the media in general. Their whole, it's time to lower the temperature.
Yeah.
Alex, let's tone down the rhetoric, lower the temperature. What do you say?
Yeah, it's obviously hypocritical. I mean, Biden spoke last night. He had an Oval Office address. It was a blatantly political address. It was not anything other than that. It was him trying to save some face politically. All of this helps Biden get nominated but not reelected. So just in case anyone wants the cynical, but you got to do it, political analysis of all this. Yeah, but he was out there, and he's just trying to flip the script, and he makes his political point. He wants everyone to get out of our silos, and we all need to lower the temperature. I mean, this is the guy who has treated Trump like he said Nazis were fine people. He is someone who acts like the extreme MAGA movement is worthy of these really dramatic addresses. Remember when he did the extreme MAGA speech with the armed guards behind him and the red backdrop, and this guy has been escalating the rhetoric, and he's been allowing the most radical members of his party to continually ramp stuff up. Think about the fact that the J6 committee wanted to strip, or the chair of it wanted to strip Trump of his Secret Service protection. So, I mean, come on, what are we talking about? He's tolerated this. He's encouraged it. He's a part of it. He deserves no credit. None. So all he does is in that speech, by the way, is reference supposed right-wing violence. It's just so there's nothing comparable. Nothing.
Yes.
It's time to be quiet. There's no Paul Pelosi, getting attacked by some nut from Berkeley is not the same as this. It is very similar when Steve Scalise almost got assassinated. It is similar when Brett Kavanaugh almost got assassinated. That's the similar stuff, and it's coming from the left. So I'm not saying there aren't some people on the right who are nuts. There are. There's nuts in every group. But if you turned over to MSNBC at all the morning of or the day before, it's all this democracy's under attack, democracy's under attack. Those are Joe Biden talking points. If our democracy really is under attack, this is really going to be the last election. Of course, it's a dog whistle for some nut to go try to take out Trump. It's just no one gotten this close before.
You can't say that Trump is Hitler and pray for a speedy recovery.
No, you can't do both. And we've had a lot of years of Trump as Hitler. So just friendly reminder for people to take into this week.
This is Biden on Friday.
Most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, Trump is a threat to this nation.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, that's not even the worst of his rhetoric, but that was just
sure. And in a different time, you could be charitable and say he's just being political, but obviously that's not. He's not. I mean, we're so far, Mike, and you're old enough to know that when there was a time in this country fairly recently where you didn't demonize your political opponents, it was exciting to have conversations with them, and now it's just pure tribalism, and one of the kings of it is Joe Biden.